Random House Audio presents A Thread of Grace by Mary Doria Russell. Read for you by J. Gregory. A Thread of Grace. Austria, 1907. This is what everyone would remember about his mother. Her home was immaculate. Even in a place where cleanliness was pursued with religious zeal, her household was renowned for its faultless order. In Clara's mind, there was no gradation between purity and filth. She had sinned as a girl, made pregnant by her married uncle. Adultery stained her soul black, and God punished her as she deserved. Her sin child died. So did her aunt, and Clara became her uncle's second wife, dutifully raising her stepchildren, keeping them very clean and very quiet. So her uncle-husband would not become angry and bring out his leather whip. Her husband was no more merciful than her God. Her second son died, and then her small daughter. Soon after she buried little Ida, Clara became pregnant again. Her fourth child was a sickly boy, whose weakness her uncle-husband despised. Clara hovered over the new baby anxiously, hoping that God would hear her pleas and let this child live. Her prayers, it seemed, were answered, but the neighbors were bemused by Clara's mothering. She nursed her little boy for 2 years. He'd squirm away from her, but she pushed her nipple into his mouth. She fed and fed and fed that child. Food was medicine. Food could ward off numberless, nameless, lurking diseases. "Eat," she'd plead. "Eat, or you'll get sick and die." It was immoderate, even in a village where mothers expected children to clean their plates. In adulthood, Clara's son would suck on a finger in times of stress, or stuff himself with chocolates. He discussed nutritional theories at length, but had a poor appetite. Whenever he looked in a mirror, he would see his mother's eyes, china blue and frightened. Frightened of dirt, of her husband, of illness, and of God. Clara's son was frightened too. Frightened of priests and hunters, of cigarette smokers and skiers, of liberals, journalists, germs and dirt, of gypsies, judges, and Americans. He was frightened of being wrong, of being weak, of being effeminate. Frightened of poets and of Poles, of academics and Jehovah's Witnesses. Frightened of moonlight and horses, of snow and water and the dark. Frightened of microbes and spirochetes, of feces, and of old men, and of the French. The very blood in his veins was dangerous. There were birth defects and feeble-mindedness in his incestuous family. Clara's son worried all his life that unsavory gossip about his ancestry would become public. He was frightened of sexual intercourse and never had children, afraid his tainted blood would be revealed in them. He was terrified of cancer, which took his mother's life, and horrified that he had suckled at diseased breasts. How could anyone live with so much fear? His solution was to simplify. He sought and seized one all-encompassing explanation for the existence of sin and disease, for all his failures and disappointments. He would identify the secret source of every evil and root it out, annihilating at a stroke all that threatened him. He would free Europe of pollution and defilement. Only health and confidence and purity and order would remain. Are such grim and comic facts significant, or merely interesting? Here's another. The doctor who could not cure Clara Hitler's cancer was Jewish. 8th of September, 1943. Porto San Andrea, Liguria, northwestern coast of Italy. A simple answer to a simple question. That's all Werner Schramm requires. "Where's the church?" he yells, belligerent and sick. Sicker yet when his shout becomes a swampy cough. A small crowd gathers to appreciate the spectacle. A Waffen-SS officer, thin, 40-ish, and liquored up. "La Basilica!" he gasps, remembering the Italian. San Giovanni, dove è? A young woman points. Spotting the bell tower above a tumble of rooftops that stagger toward the sea, he turns to thank her. Everyone is gone. Nearer the harbor, the honeyed light of the Italian Riviera gilds wrecked warehouses and burnt piers, but there's not much bomb damage inland. No damned room for an explosion, Schramm thinks. Jammed between the Mediterranean and the mountains, the oldest part of Porto San Andrea doesn't even have streets, just caruggi, passages barely wide enough for medieval carts. Cool and shadowy even at noon, these masonry ravines wind past the cobblers and barber shops, apothecaries, vegetable stands, and cafes, wedged at random between blank-walled townhouses. Glimpses of the bell tower provide a sense of direction, but Schramm gets lost twice before stumbling into a sunny little piazza. "Found you," he tells the Basilica di San Giovanni Battista. San Giobatta, the locals call this place, as though John the Baptist were a neighborhood boy, poor and charmless, but held in great affection. Squatting on a granite platform, the dumpy little church shares its modest courtyard with an equally unimpressive rectory and convent. Ineffective sandbags surround the church, its southeast corner freshly crumpled and blackened by an Allied incendiary bomb. Schramm advances resolutely on massive doors, curses when they won't yield to his tug. "I want a priest," he yells, rapping on the door. Creaking hinges reveal the existence of a little wooden side door. A middle-aged nun appears, her habit topped by a grimy apron. Frowning at the noise, she is shaped like a beer keg. Her starched white wimple presses pudgy cheeks toward a nose that belongs on a propaganda Jew. "Christ, you're homely." Schramm wipes his mouth on his sleeve, wondering if he has spoken aloud. For years, words have threatened to pour out like blood from his throat. He fears hemorrhage. Shivering in the heat, he makes a move toward the door. The nun bars his way. "La chiesa è chiusa." Schramm pushes past her. The baptistry reeks of carbolic, incense, and explosives. 3 novices scour its limestone floor. Schramm pulls off his campaign cap. The nave is empty, apart from a man who ambles down the center aisle. "Io need ein padre," he insists, but the beer keg shakes her head. Schramm points at a confessional. "La chiesa è chiusa." "I know the church is closed, but I need a strong black coffee," the tourist suggests pleasantly. His German is Tyrolean, but there's no mistaking the graceful confidence of an Italian male who employs a superb tailor. "A medical officer," he says, noting the insignia on Schramm's collar. "You speak the language of Dante most vigorously, Herr Doctor, but the people of this region generally use a Ligurian dialect, not the classical Italian you are butchering," Schramm supplies. "Striving for, one might have said. With your permission, I can explain to Suora Marta that you're seeking a priest who speaks German." Schramm listens hard, but their dialect is as thick as an Austrian's head, and he gives up, until the tourist translates. "Suora tells me Archbishop Terrassa's assistant speaks excellent German. Confessions, however, will not be heard again until Saturday. I shall point out that in time of war, the angel of death is more capricious than usual. Preparation for his arrival should not be delayed." Schramm watches Suora Marta's face. She reminds him of his mother's sister, a Vincentian nun equally short and dumpy and ugly. "Like Papa used to say, Christ'll take what nobody else wants." "And so there is hope even for pigs like you?" Suora Marta gives Schramm one last dirty look before gliding away. "Verdammter Scheiß! Why didn't you tell me she speaks German?" "I didn't know. As a general rule, however, courtesy has much to recommend it, in any language. If you won't be needing me anymore." Schramm nods, and the man strolls off. The tourists' circuit of the church is punctuated by murmurs of dismay. A 15th-century baptismal font is damaged. A colorful jumble of shattered glass lies beneath a blown-out window. "Verdammt Tommies," Schramm mutters. "British claim we're only bombing military sites, but Hamburg is rubble. Leverkusen, München, Köln, Düsseldorf, rubble, all of them. Did you know that?" "We hear only rumor these days, even with the change in government," the Italian replies, declining comment on Mussolini's recent fall from power. Sweeping shards of colored glass into a pile.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?